All right, I probably don't have enough time to go through all this, but we'll see how it goes. We're going to talk today about Poaceae. Poaceae is in the grass family, or it is the grass family. It's the world's fifth largest family by number of species, Asteraceae being one of the largest by number of species. But arguably, Poaceae has more members of its family than anything else, because they're, in terms of biomass, there's just so many of them. The parts of Poaceae are a little odd because the flowers and stuff don't look like what we traditionally think of as flowers. They have their seed head, which is basically their flower stem. It's got the leaves. Their stem is this little section at the bottom called the crown, and then they also have other types of stems such as stolons and rhizomes. Shouldn't be technically stems, but roots and things like that coming off of it. So if you look carefully at a leaf from grass, you see a blade, you see a collar region, and you see a sheath. All these are different aspects or parts of the leaf, which is very specialized. If you look even closer, one of the easiest ways to identify the different parts of a blade of grass, or to identify the species of a piece of grass, is by looking at the collar region. You'll see the ligule, which is like a collar on a shirt, right, that pops up or down, or an auricles, which are these kind of leaf-like, or these earlobe-like movements there. Where the presence of the ligule, how the ligule looks, the presence of auricles and how they look can be very helpful in diagnosing or figuring out what you're looking at. For example, you can have membranous ligules, hairy ligules, absent ligules, right, all those things. Over on the side B, it also talks about different types of auricles as well. Let's get this pointer going. Right here, you can also see that you've got these patterns of veins. You can have large central ribs like this. You can have multiple parallel ribs, but they always will be parallel, just how visible they are. Or you can look at the leaf tips and how visible those leaf tips are. I want to skip that. So the flower, you can get three main varieties of flowers here. They're made up of arrangements of these little spikelets. Spikelets are these collections of seeds here, and they've got these long projections called awns, and they can be arranged as a panicle, a spike, or a raceme. Here's a picture of what those awns look like on a rye. You can also look at something called vernation. Notice it says vernation, not venation. Vernation can be rolled or folded. That can be another big help. And you can also look at how the grasses spread. If they spread through stoloniferous growth, through rhizomatous growth, or if they're a bunch type grass. All those things can be helpful. But always the fruit is what's called a caryopsis. A caryopsis is another word for a grain. So grains belong to this family. There's a big category of these that are grown as food crops. Oryza sativa being one of the most popular in the world. About a fifth of all calories consumed in the world comes from rice, Oryza sativa. They often are grown in paddy fields. We're not going to watch this video, but if you want to, you can search that URL and watch this video about how rice is grown. But these are what rice paddies look like. They're flooded for big portions of the year in order to grow them. Wheat is another common one here. We've also got maize, which is to say corn. This is the ancestor of corn called teosinte grass that we've over time convinced to grow into bigger and bigger ears, so that's tastier and tastier to eat. Sugarcane, being the most produced crop in the world, accounts for about 80% of the production of sugar in the world, and we can do all kinds of things, but sugarcane, if you've ever munched on a little bit of it, tastes incredibly sweet. Tastes like honey, and that's where we get sugar from. The subfamily of bamboo can grow... Bamboo is absurd. Bamboo can grow a millimeter every 90 seconds. This means you can sit there and watch it grow when it's really taking off. 91 centimeters, that is to say 3 feet, per 24-hour period. It's just absurd. It's got more compressive strength, as in strength this way, than wood, brick, or concrete, and has tensile strength, as in pulling strength, that rivals steel. It's just absolutely bonkers what this plant can do. I really like bamboo. However, you should never grow bamboo. There are some bamboos you can grow here in Utah, but it is incredibly invasive and hard to get rid of once it gets established. I do not recommend planting it in any way, shape, or form in your gardens. We're going to skip through this. We also have our turf-type grasses. So lawns for a long time were a mark of richness. It's kind of why everyone has a lawn, is because everyone was trying to keep up with the riches and look rich as well. The noblemen would keep these big areas of lawn to show that they had so much land that they could afford to have nothing grow there other than just ornamental stuff. They'd keep it cut using sheep and scythes and things like that. But eventually somebody invented a lawnmower. People started getting a little bit of ground, and we started getting more lawns. They cover more than 50,000 square miles today, more than any other crop in the U.S., which is absurd. And in order to keep the lawns looking the way that we like to make them look, you have to put in a ton amount of just everything. 60% of all water in the western U.S. goes on lawns. Not for crops, not for food, not for drinking or anything like that, just for lawns. So a lot of our water problems that we have comes because everyone wants a lawn that very few people actually end up using. We also get a huge problem from herbicides and pesticides being dumped on them. You can use alternatives. This is what I do with my lawn. I have a clover lawn. You can also do things like plant muscari in your lawn. You can grow moss, yarrow, thyme, chamomile. You can go synthetic. I don't recommend it. That makes your house way hotter. You have to use more air conditioning and things like that to make it work. But if you are using a normal turf type grasses, we have both warm and cool season grasses. These are the ones that cost tons of water to keep going. These are the ones that if you can figure out how to get them to grow here, require far less water inputs to keep them looking green. This is Kentucky bluegrass. Almost everybody has it. This is, shoot, what's its common name? Not rye. I can't remember its common name. Festuca. It is a little bit coarser, but it requires far less water, so it's a better choice for our lawns around here. This is what a lot of people will use for golf greens, lolium. It's a type kind of ryegrass. We've got this another golf course grass, but this is what they use for the greens. This is bent grass. Needs tons of water to stay healthy and happy. Here's some of our warm season grasses. They're a lot coarser, but they survive in different areas. And here's some of our weedy grasses like Bermuda grass. And this, however, is a great one. This is one we should grow more around here called buffalo grass. It doesn't it can't handle tons of foot traffic. It can handle some, but that's how it goes. And then we've got a whole bunch of different weeds that grow through the area. And that's our discussion on grass. We'll talk more about the weeds probably in class because I enjoy talking about the weeds.